Hello and welcome to Monkey Hammer Games. Today I will be going through some of the animation styles which can be found throughout history in the modern era, beginning from the start. The Belgian inventor Joseph Plateau first had an idea for the phanenoscope in 1829, then he began planning the invention in 1839 before he finally finished his creation in 1841. Although the creation's principles have been recognized by others in history, such as the Greek mathematician Euclid and Isaac Newton, it was still a new form of entertainment as he was the one who finally established it in Victorian society. The phanenoscope uses a spinning disc attached to a handle with an arrangement of drawings which would eventually, when paired with radial slits, create the illusion of movement within the pictures. A Chinese inventor named Ding Huan supposedly invented the first example of a zoetrope in 100 BC under the name Magic Lantern. However, many discredit it as its original purpose has been lost to time. It was not until 1833 when William Horner seemingly reinvented the daedalus, which meant the wheel of the devil, which put many off until it began getting popular in 1860s when the term zoetrope replaced the previous name. The zoetrope works on pretty much the same principle as the phanenoscope. However, it uses a spinning cylinder which rotates rapidly, and the image can be viewed through the vertical slits located on the sides. The flipbook was first patented by John Barnes Linnet, who originally named it the kineograph, in the year 1868. The flipbook used a linear sequence of images which were different from the conventional circular contraptions such as the phanenoscope and the zoetrope. It instead uses a series of images which, when flipped, give the illusion of animation or movement without the use of a machine or crank. The eventual successor to the zoetrope was the praxinoscope, invented by Charles Emile Reynard. It became very similar to the zoetrope, however, it removed the slits from the cylinder and placed them within a circle of mirrors, which when placed for the user to look at would result in a clearer, more brighter image to be created, which in turn allowed the animation to be more or less stationary when spinning. The praxinoscope would eventually be improved with the theatre optique, but we will not be covering that. The kinetoscope was an early motion picture device which was first patented in 1888, finally revealed in April 14, 1894 by Thomas Edison. It was a combination of sound and film which would create the standpoint for every other form of animation entertainment afterward. The kinetoscope used a 35mm film which was rotated on its film reel by an electronic motor and then magnified, so when seen through the pupil, a motion picture will be played to the single viewer through the kinetoscope. It's credited to Sir Edison, but it was mostly created by W.K. Dixon. This is when animators trace over each and every frame of footage. Used in live action and animated films, it was originally projected onto frosted glass and then redrawn. However, this technique has now been replaced digitally. Max Fleischer invented it in 1915 and he used it in his series Out of the Inkwell. Rotoscoping creates a stylized cartoon look, creating large regions of colour. As an example in modernish culture is Take On Me, a music video which uses the style and its parodies. Another example is Popeye. One thing to note is that the Disney company looked down on rotoscoping, as Don Graham, an animator for Disney, stated that rotoscoping was a crutch for artists who lacked the skill to do their work on their own. However, ironically, Snow White used rotoscoping in some scenes. Drawn on film is produced when the animator draws onto blank film to create images into the film. This allows the animator to draw, paint, and attach any 2D images onto the film to create virtually anything. One of the first artists to do this was Len Lai, who used many different techniques in his line of work, such as carving into black stock film to create patterns and abstract movements. The cell-in-cell animation stands for celluloid, which is used to draw the objects and images. Earl Hurd first used it in 1914. A background image would usually be drawn on a particular scene and then the characters would be animated onto the single piece of background. This helped reduce the time required to animate each scene as the background did not require changing as often. Furthermore, the outline of the frame would be drawn onto the front while this colour would be on the back. This would hide the brush marks on any other scruffy edges to the colour. The finished cell product would then be put into film chips for use to the projector and later fused with music for the film. Some examples of cell animation would be Walt Disney's Snow White and Little Mermaid, the first and last examples of Disney's use of cell animation. Talking of Walt Disney, he brought some major innovation into animation of the time, from having synced sound with the film and the use of cell animation for a full-length feature film. Steamboat Willie was notable as the first cartoon to have a synchronized sound and soundtrack. This helped distinguish it from earlier sound cartoons such as Inkwell Studios' Song Cartoons in 1924 to 28 and Van Buren Studios' Dinner Time in 1928. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was created by Walt Disney in 1937 and released by RKO Radio Pictures. Snow White was the first full-length cel animated film and the first in its long line of Walt Disney animated classic series. Snow White also paved the way for Walt Disney as it grossed over $8 million and allowed Walt Disney to build a new studio. Leon Schlesinger founded Warner Brothers Cartoons Division in 1933 under the name Leon Schlesinger Productions until it was bought in 1944. It was responsible for cartoons such as Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies, which were very popular at the time. However, the division was still closed in 1963 before reopening briefly in 1967 before shutting its doors forever in 1969. Although animation was established in the 19th century, it can sometimes be too hard to create with traditional methods. Some use alternative methods such as cutouts. Cutout animation can be found in television in the form of South Park and Monty Python. In Monty Python, Terry Gillingham describes the way the characters are taken as maximum effect for minimum work, as it consists of cutting out materials from magazines and other forms of media, which are taken out of their original context, such as taking a perfume bottle and making it into an alien landscape. This animation style was highly acclaimed with its surreal humour, and it also gave the episodes a creative edge. South Park's animation style came about with neither Matt Stone nor Trey Parker being able to draw. Using a cut-and-out system, they would not be able to draw each animation frame. Furthermore, it was purposely made to look crappy, as it was deemed funny as a bit of paper going to splat is funnier than a kid being hit by a bus in real life. After a few episodes, South Park began to be produced digitally, as it reduced the time taken to produce each episode, allowing them to create an episode in less than 5 days. Additionally, the cartoon is designed around the voice acting to allow the speech to be properly synced. Animation is used in many genres and can be found in many forms, such as computer games, children's TV, cinema and advertising. For this example, I will be examining animation in children's TV. Firstly, the Simpsons writers create the plots and throw together ideas for jokes and gags before a script is created for the episode. Then the voice actors get recorded and then finally sent to the animating team, essentially meaning that the episode's animation is based entirely on how the actors say their lines, similar to South Park. However, the drawings are sent to create to be drawn neatly and coloured in as it is cheaper. When everything is complete, they scan the drawings into the computer and add them above the background in a process called digital ink and paint. However, some CGI is used as well, but not as often as it is mostly used for the background. Nowadays, there's an increase in computer-generated animation, as the traditional styles are decreasing in popularity due to the time it takes to create them. One notable type of animation is flash animation, which is now one of the most commonly found types found due to the rising popularity of the internet and the availability of the software, as it is free. Flash can be created using Adobe Flash or a similar animation software. However, the term Flash refers to both file format and also the visual style, as Flash uses keyframes which define the start and finish of a transition, and they also use motion tweening to create the overall animation. 2D bitmap graphics are some raster images are entirely made out of pixels in a grid. Pixels are the little dots of colour which make the computer screen. Bitmaps are dependent on the resolution, meaning they lose quality if resized to be bigger or smaller. Additionally, all scanned-in images are bitmaps in this formats. It becomes and include GIFs, BMP, JPEG and few more. 2D vectors, on the other hand, keep their quality no matter how resized they are. This gives them the advantage quality-wise. However, since most cameras produce a 2D bitmap image, it is impractical to convert them to vector graphics as it would waste time and resources.